So this is my Pecha Kucha. I'm Gene Van Horn. This is for the month of September. I'm going to be doing it on Smartphone Wars. We're going to look at iOS versus Android. iOS being Apple's mobile operating system that they started with the iPhone, and Android being Google's operating system that they started with the T-Mobile G1. And I'm going to try to bring it up to present days and let you know what side I pick. Basically, Apple goes ahead and strikes first with the iPhone in January of 2007. They basically bring their form factor, beautiful, sleek model, anodized aluminum design of the iPods, and turned it into a phone, which was revolutionizing. There's no doubt that that changed the phone industry. T-Mobile and Google strike back with the introduction about a year later of the T-Mobile G1, which was made by HTC. It was fully customizable, the widgets, the just things that Apple had negated to use. Multimedia capabilities beyond MP4 format. Here's a couple of the specs here. Although at the time Apple did have more apps, more music, it still had lacked things like Flash and email support and MMS picture messaging and stuff like that. So the fans decided to take sides. The forums lit up. Google this, Android that, Apple this, Apple that, iOS this, iOS that, and it began to rage on. Apple once again takes a step forward, and they strike first, releasing their iPad, which was highly mocked as a name, but has basically become a household name, which was a 9-inch tablet that showcased the speed and the beauty, and had fully optimized apps for the size of the screen. Google strikes later again with their 7-inch tablet by Samsung, known as the Galaxy Tab. Now, this is something that's quite often. Google isn't made by one manufacturer, it's made by a ton of them. So I think that's where they have the edge up on Apple. Apple kind of sticks to their own. They control everything, as you'll see in this slide coming up. So Apple's seen as an excellent all-rounded providers. I mean, kids could use it, starting at 4 all the way up to older people, and Android's more seen as like a learning curve. But Apple controls all the hardware. They control, what they do is where Android is shipped off to different sides. So here we looked at the evolution of the iPhone, all the way from the first iPhone to the iPhone 6 Plus, which is the one that was in stores now. And you can see how it's grown and how it's changed, but how it stayed the same. And that's one of the biggest cons for their argument. Here is Google's line of their own Nexus phones. Again, it's made by different manufacturers, starting with HTC, going all the way to Motorola, with a couple of Samsung and LGs thrown in there. As well as Android first introduced the bigger screens, which forced iPhone to go bigger. So this picture here is just an image of the smartphone wars getting more advanced, where you got Apple with a bunch of lightsabers and Android with a couple of lightsabers. But it seems like they're fighting out pretty hard. Coming up, the latest iterations are iOS 9. We'll get into that. But it seemed like the battle is going to rage on, and Steve Jobs' vision is going to live on well beyond after him. But Google is definitely making a dent in the marketplace with their multi-platform use. I think that's the big key. A lot of Apple's innovations have kind of come off the back of Android. So here's a representation. You see, it says, "Dear iPhone 6 users, welcome to 2012. In 2016, you'll enjoy things like wireless charging, water resistance, IR blasters, multi-user support, things that Android's had forever." So I hope iOS 9 actually does incorporate a lot of the things that you've been seeing in Android for years to come. So, Android's been doing tons of those things before iOS even thought of doing them. But iOS 9 is going to be shown on the new iPhone 6s and 6s Plus, which is the two versions that come in 4 colors. Basically, it's no deviation from the iPhone 6 in as far as shape. The only thing they did was add that rose gold or pink color, and added the new Snappy operating system on it. Android Marshmallow 6.0, like iOS 9, has the Apple Pay. Android has the Android Pay, which is the mobile paying system, and that's basically where it seems to be going. It seems like they've done as much as they could do on customizability as well as usage. But Marshmallow will be showcased in the Nexus 5X, which is featured in the top, made by LG, and the Nexus 6X, made by Huawei. Um, Once again, I think Google has the upper hand on the fact that they can make really cheap devices and really expensive devices. Here's a little preview of what they have to offer. iPhone still has the lead in the way of apps. They all do multitasking and split screen. There's widgets. You still can't drag and drop to iOS. You have to actually go through iTunes. All of this could leave you feeling like a episode of Looney Tunes, Rabbit Season, Duck Season, iOS, Android. At the end, it could leave you feeling a little bit like Elmer Fudd looks in this picture, with all the specs and all of that. And it's your choice to go, which way you want to go. Um, I don't know, like this poor schlum here. Android, iOS. I chose Android. I'm going with the Nexus 6, and I'm probably going to get the 6S soon, mainly because it's an awesome device and I love it.